If happiness lies in ignorance, then the intelligent man is not just a stranger in society. He is a threat, and like any threat, he needs to be neutralized. Since ancient times, humanity has had a perverse pattern. Whenever someone sees beyond the obvious and tries to expose uncomfortable truths, that person is silenced, ridiculed, or even destroyed. Schopenhauer understood this cruel mechanism of society. For him, collective mediocrity will always feel a deep discomfort in the presence of a man who thinks differently. The reason? He challenges the illusion in which everyone prefers to live. While the majority distract themselves with trivialities, the thinker is the one who points out the absurdity of existence, the hypocrisy of institutions, the futility of human ambitions. And since most people do not want to face this truth, the easiest solution is to attack those who reveal it. History is full of examples of this. Socrates was sentenced to death for corrupting the youth, that is, for teaching people to think for themselves. Galileo was persecuted for asserting that the earth revolved around the sun, something that challenged the comfort of the dominant religious belief. Nietzsche was ridiculed for exposing the fragility of moral values and ended up isolated in his madness. Schopenhauer, in turn, spent much of his life ignored, his philosophy considered too pessimistic for society. But do not think that this phenomenon happens only to great philosophers and scientists. It happens all the time, at all levels of life. Have you noticed how social groups tend to reject those who do not fit in? At work, the employee who questions unfair rules is soon seen as a problem. In school, the student who does not conform to easy answers is labeled arrogant or weird. In social interactions, those who prefer deep conversations over trivialities often feel out of place. The world does not want you to think. It wants you to obey. And here lies the great irony. People reject the thinker, but at the same time depend on him. All great innovations, all revolutionary ideas, all changes that have truly shaped humanity came from individuals who were, at some point, marginalized for their intelligence. The problem is that society only values genius after he is dead, when his ideas no longer represent a threat. But then, if the intelligent man is rejected, persecuted, and condemned to solitude, what can he do? How can someone who sees beyond the obvious survive in a world that does not want to see? Schopenhauer believed there was only one way out, an alternative path for those who refuse to live in ignorance. And it is precisely about this survival strategy that we will talk about in the next part. If intelligence leads to isolation, suffering, and rejection, the big question is there a way out? How can someone who sees beyond the illusions of society find peace in a world that seems to have no place for them? Schopenhauer believed there was only one way: to stop seeking happiness in the same places as others. Most people find meaning in life through distractions, careers, relationships, social status. They are trapped in the idea that happiness lies in the recognition of others, in group acceptance, and in the attainment of material desires. But for the intelligent man, all of this sounds empty. He realizes that success often does not depend on merit, but on the ability to conform to the rules of the social game. He sees that relationships can be based on projections and interests, and that the incessant pursuit of pleasure is merely an attempt to escape existential emptiness. So, what is the alternative? Schopenhauer believed that the only way to survive one's own intelligence was to radically change the way of living. For him, the wise person should abandon the need for external approval and seek satisfaction in areas where society's mediocrity cannot interfere. This means three things. 1. Embrace solitude as freedom. Most people fear being alone because, without distractions, they are forced to confront themselves. But Schopenhauer saw solitude as a privilege. He argued that the truly intelligent man is never lonely because his own mind is a rich enough universe to explore without a constant need for company. He advocated that, instead of being distressed by the lack of superficial connections, the wise person should use their time for reflection, study, and self-knowledge. 2. Seek refuge in art and philosophy. For Schopenhauer, the only truly pure human experiences are those that do not serve practical purposes, such as art and philosophical contemplation. He believed that music, for example, was the highest form of art because it allowed humans to transcend brutal reality and access something deeper. Instead of getting caught up in worldly concerns, the wise man should take refuge in activities that expand his mind without requiring social approval. 3. Reject the illusion of happiness and accept serenity. The greatest mistake of the intelligent man, according to Schopenhauer, is trying to find happiness in the same molds as common society. Intelligence makes the individual realize that complete happiness is an illusion, and the sooner he accepts this, the freer he will become. The goal, then, is not to seek artificial happiness, but to achieve a state of serenity. This means reducing desires, avoiding excessive involvement with the world's trivialities, and finding pleasure in existence itself without relying on external factors. This philosophy may seem harsh, even cruel, but there is something liberating about it. Because when you stop seeking in the world something it can never give you, you free yourself. You stop getting frustrated with people, with institutions, with the system. You accept reality as it is and learn to live on the margins of it without being controlled by it. But then, if the thinker's path is to distance themselves from the common world, what is the final destination for those who follow this journey? What happens to those who abandon the illusions of society and decide to live only by the truth? Schopenhauer had an answer for that, and this answer is what we will discuss in the final part. And so, we come to the final point of this journey. What is the true destiny of the man who sees beyond? If he cannot fit into society, if conventional happiness eludes him, if his mind is both a gift and a curse, what is the inevitable end for one who refuses to live in illusion? Schopenhauer had no romantic illusions about this destiny. He knew that intelligence, when taken to its ultimate consequences, condemns the individual to solitude and misunderstanding. The thinker will never find comfort in the distractions of ordinary life, will never be fully accepted by those who live automatically. But does this mean he is doomed to suffering? Not necessarily. The true secret lies not in trying to escape this burden, but in learning to carry it with dignity. The man who understands the nature of existence and accepts reality as it is, without the layers of illusion that most people need to endure life, achieves a kind of freedom that few will know. He does not seek meaning outside of himself, does not care for the approval of others, does not allow himself to be enslaved by the incessant desire for more. He understands that the world has always been chaotic, unjust, and indifferent. And by accepting this, he becomes immune to the disappointments that destroy others. Schopenhauer believed that the wise man should abandon any hope of transforming society or being understood by it. Instead, he should dedicate himself to cultivating his own mind, to appreciating art, philosophy, and contemplation. He should be a spectator of the world, not a prisoner of it. But this conclusion raises an uncomfortable question. Is it worth being intelligent? If ignorance brings happiness and wisdom brings isolation, is the pursuit of knowledge a rational choice? Or should we choose to remain in illusion like everyone else, if we could? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that intelligence truly condemns one to suffering? Or do you think it is possible to be intelligent and at the same time find happiness? Leave your comment and share your view. And before you go, don't stop here. The next video is essential to continue this journey of reflection. There is something important in it that you need to hear. Watch now and keep expanding your mind. See you there.